Hey everyone, it's Ethan or Miist back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video, and this is going to be a pretty interesting one because we kind of have like 9 days of movies to talk about. Obviously, my last video was up last Saturday because I was going away for vacation, wasn't able to record on Sunday for Monday, obviously, so I only got to do Monday to Friday in last week's video, and that's why it was up on Saturday if you didn't watch that. So yeah, I'm back from my vacation, and I had a busy vacation. I watched a lot of movies, so there's going to be a lot of movies that I'm really not going to talk about much. I'm just going to tell you I watched them pretty much because I'm going to try to keep this video under 20 minutes if I can. And let's start it off with last week, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday I was traveling to Ontario to visit my parents for vacation, and let's start with that weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Let's finish that week. So starting it off with my least favorite, which I watched Jack, which is a Francis Ford Coppola movie. He was one of my director goals last year and this year because I didn't really go through his filmography last year, and glad to scratch this off the watch list, but did not enjoy this movie. Most people don't. Let's move on to Caddyshack. Actually a pleasant surprise because I thought this was going to be a stupid spoof movie, and I actually kind of enjoyed my time with it, which was nice. 73 out of 100. Never really laughed out loud, but I had a few good chuckles, so that was nice. Also, happy 45th birthday to Caddyshack. Moving on to one of a few documentaries you'll see in this, or two documentaries, I believe. Trainwreck, Mayor of Mayhem, which I ranked 75 out of 100. Considering I was in Ontario and I was in and out of Toronto that week, felt appropriate to watch a documentary about Rob Ford. And yeah, quite an interesting documentary. I learned a lot. 75 out of 100. Let's move on to The Rainmaker, also a Coppola movie, which I ranked an 81 out of 100. I think I'm just a sucker for courtroom dramas, and I quite enjoy them. And I enjoyed The Rainmaker, 81 out of 100. Let's move on to the big boys. I watched the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time in my life. I did watch Two Towers and The Fellowship 2 years ago now with Austin and Tristan, but I never finished the trilogy. We never finished the trilogy. We never got to watch Return of the King together, which I finally did this week. And yeah, The Two Towers is my least favorite, but it's not like I think it's bad. I ranked it a 90 out of 100. It went down from a 91 down to a 90. Moving on to The Return of the King. First time watch. I really loved this movie. Ranked it a 92 out of 100. This is also one of the most well-respected movies of all time, of course. It's one of the most Oscar-winning movies, I believe, as well. Winning and nominated. One of the highest on IMDb. It's really amazing, and I ranked it a 92 out of 100. I do feel it is possible that this could go higher than the first one on rewatch, because rewatching Fellowship, I absolutely love Fellowship. I raised it 10 points from an 83 to a 93, and I really, really enjoyed Fellowship a lot more than I remembered enjoying it. Like I said, ranked it a 93, and I really had a great time with that. And that's how I finished last week. So I'd watched 7 movies on Saturday and Sunday when I had gone up to Ontario, and then now let's move on to this past week, which was all in Ontario. Starting it off with one of my themes of the week, which was Evangelion, which I ranked Evangelion 3.0 You Cannot Redo, a 60 out of 100 to be my least favorite of the Evangelion reboots, or resurgence, whatever you want to call it. This was my least favorite, ranked it a 60 out of 100. It was a decent movie. Moving on to Fighting with My Family, a wrestling movie I've wanted to watch for quite some time now, about Paige, a wrestler I used to love growing up, and love Florence Pugh, 63 out of 100. It was decent. It was kind of funny. I enjoyed it. Moving on to Trainwreck, Poop Cruise. Trainwreck is probably one of my favorite things Netflix has ever put out, and I'm enjoying this series. There's a new documentary I think came out today, or comes out. There's another one coming out this week, I think. There's few coming out, obviously, and I'm enjoying this series. I've watched them all so far, I believe, except for the Woodstock 99 one, which I think is like a 3-episode one, so I'll have to watch that as well. But yeah, couldn't imagine being on this cruise. Fuck that. All right, let's move on to Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone, which I ranked a 68 out of 100. It's a good start to the franchise. I enjoyed it. It got me interested enough to watch the whole series. Let's move on to Incoming, which is a Mason Thames movie that I wanted to watch, and that's the main reason I wanted to watch this movie, truthfully. And yeah, I enjoyed this movie actually more than I thought I was going to. A Netflix original comedy is probably not typically a good thing. It has a low average. I think it has like a 2.2 or 2.4 average on Letterboxd, but I enjoyed it. Ranked it a 69 out of 100. Let's move on to Evangelion 2.0, You Cannot Advance, which I ranked a 71 out of 100. And this is where I really start to praise the amazing looking animation and just the crazy ideas in anime. I love watching anime movies because, like I said, it's just crazy ideas come to life, and it's not something that you can do in live action. And that's one reason why I love animation and anime movies in general, or animation in general, because they're amazing with, and of course they're super creative, and you can do pretty much anything with animation, right? So 71 out of 100 for Evangelion 2.0. Let's move on to Gran Turismo, which I ranked a 73 out of 100, which I enjoyed, had a decent time with it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And let's move on to Gran Turismo again. Unfortunately, I ended up watching it twice this week, which was not my intentions, but more of my family came down over this past weekend on Friday, or Friday or Saturday, I don't even remember. Saturday, I think. Friday. Anyways, to visit my parents as well. They're staying with my parents now for this upcoming week, and we had a movie night, and we ended up locking in on Gran Turismo, which I literally just watched 3 days prior, so that kind of sucked. I ended up raising it a point to a 74 out of 100. Just the attention to detail to the racing kind of just made it a higher average, or a higher rating, really, but 74 out of 100 for Gran Turismo. Let's move on to The Untouchables, which I also ranked a 74 out of 100, and a Brian De Palma film, which I want to go through his filmography. A very dramatic movie, but I kind of loved it. It's like a hilarious amount of dramatic filmmaking. There's so many amazing slow-mo sequences that are, again, super dramatic, and I'm just here for it, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. 74 out of 100. Let's move on to one of the most popular movies of the week, which is Midsummer, which I ranked a 77 out of 100. And overall, this movie was kind of disappointing. I was hoping to really love this movie, but I've learned I'm very hit or miss with psychological thrillers. A lot of them I do love, a lot of them I don't love. This one kind of falls in between, but this is also fully a cult movie, which I've learned from experience I don't really like cult movies. So this is actually quite a high ranking for cult movies. So 77 out of 100. It was good, you know. Well, let's move on to Total Recall from 1990, which, happy 35th birthday. And if you guys know me, especially last year, you were following the channel, I fell in love with Arnold Schwarzenegger and absolutely loved this movie and him in it. 78 out of 100. This is a really good movie, and I really enjoyed it. I think I'll watch the remake probably this week, since I think it's on Prime as well. So, yeah, fully enjoyed this. 78 out of 100. Let's move on to Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0, Thrice Upon a Time, which I ranked an 80 out of 100. This movie's very, very beautiful, and this is definitely the deepest meaning out of all of the Evangelions, and I really enjoyed this. It makes me want to watch the original movies and even the show from the 90s, I believe it is, so kind of want to do that now. And yeah, this is also a gorgeous, gorgeous movie, ranked an 80 out of 100. Well, let's move on to, I believe, the top 5 now, with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which was my 400th movie this year. Absolutely smashing my movie goal, 400 this year. I mean, I'm on pace for over 800. We're technically not even halfway through the year yet, so that's awesome. Ranked this an 81 out of 100. A great movie, great directing, great filmmaking, seriously ahead of its time, 81 out of 100. Let's move on to Rudy, which I ranked an 82 out of 100. Sean Astin, I absolutely fell in love with this week. I really loved him as Bob Newby in Stranger Things, and I enjoyed him a lot when I had gone through Lord of the Rings a couple years ago when I didn't finish it. But I absolutely fell in love with him on this vacation, and I just want to watch more things with Sean Astin because he's just a very lovable guy. And yeah, I really loved Rudy, ranked it an 82 out of 100. Let's move on to, I think, my favorite Coppola movie so far, although I haven't watched any of The Godfathers. Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I ranked an 84 out of 100. This was easily my favorite vampire movie as well. This is a really great movie. Some of the best set designs and production designs I think I've ever seen in any sort of horror or sci-fi fantasy horror movie. It's really amazing how amazing this movie looks. Beautiful colors, beautiful cinematography, and I really loved kind of everything about this movie. The only thing that I didn't love about this movie is that I wasn't watching it on my TV. You know, I wasn't watching it on my TV with my Hue lights, and that's really the only regret I have. So I'd like to rewatch this later this year, I think. 84 out of 100. Let's move on to my favorite horror of the week, which was Cloverfield, and this is quite easily my favorite found footage film as well. I really enjoyed this movie, very awesome, ranked it a 92 out of 100 for my second favorite watch of the week. And let's move on to my favorite watch of the week, which was 2001: A Space Odyssey. I finally got around to watching this. This was one of the few Kubrick movies I had left. Finally watched 2001, and this movie really surprised me because I didn't realize this movie has zero plot. It has literally basically zero plot whatsoever, but I enjoyed it because it's an absolute spectacle to look at, witness, and appreciate, because this is genuinely one of the best films ever made on a technical perspective, perhaps the best, and it really is fucking wonderful to stare at. And although I personally, if the plot's not great, or if there really isn't that much plot, but I enjoy the music, the score, the cinematography, and enjoy what I'm looking at and listening to, my ratings will be higher. So I actually see a lot of discourse about this when I was looking at the most popular reviews on Letterboxd. There's a lot of people that say this movie sucks because nothing happens, and it's just nice to look at, which is fair. And this also is great because it's one of the most technically advanced movies, one of the most influential, probably the most influential movies of all time. I watched Close Encounters after this, and I can very clearly tell Close Encounters was heavily inspired by 2001, and of course Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy, Dune. There's so many things, perhaps even Star Trek, even though Star Trek started before 2001. This changed the genre of science fiction, Interstellar as well, Ad Astra. Like, there's so many movies, TV shows, series, books, everything that is inspired by this movie, and for that, I am thankful for 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm also born in 2001, gang. All right. We absolutely steamrolled through that video. My camera battery light has been flashing this entire time, and it's gonna die any second. I know it is. I think it goes for 15 minutes, and I've been recording for a little over 13. So, thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Sorry I zoomed through this. I just had to rush. My bad. I should have charged my battery. Anyways, again, thank you all so much for watching. Back to regularly scheduled videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.